Hello everyone, welcome to my update US gossip channel. Tracy stood frozen in the middle of the grand living room, her entire body trembling as though the floor beneath her had turned to ice, unable to comprehend the words echoing in her mind. Ronnie is Sonny's biological mother. The sentence replayed again and again like a cruel mantra, shredding the very fabric of everything she thought she knew about her family, her life, and the people she trusted most. Her heart thundered in her chest, each beat heavier than the last, as the shocking truth unraveled in her mind like a thread that refused to stop pulling. She had spent years believing Sonny was a broken man because of his mysterious past, a man tormented by the absence of a mother who had supposedly abandoned him to a cruel fate, and yet now, as reality clawed its way into the open, Tracy realized that the mother Sonny had been searching for had been standing in front of them all along. Ronnie, the woman she had trusted, confided in, and even defended countless times, was the one who had harbored this unforgivable secret. Tracy's breath caught in her throat as she replayed every encounter with Ronnie, every conversation that now took on a sinister double meaning. She remembered how Ronnie used to look at Sonny with that strange mix of guilt and longing, how she always seemed to intervene whenever Sonny and Tracy fought, how she avoided questions about her past like a shadow avoiding the sun. Suddenly, every moment that once felt insignificant now carried unbearable weight. The walls of the house seemed to close in around her, suffocating her in disbelief, as Ronnie stood silently across the room, her face pale but oddly serene, as if she had expected this day to come. Tracy's voice trembled when she finally spoke, each word breaking under the strain of betrayal. You lied to me," she whispered, her tone cracking like glass, but Ronnie said nothing. Her silence screamed louder than any confession could. The silence between them was deafening, a thick tension hanging in the air heavy with years of deception. Tracy's eyes darted to Sonny, who was standing nearby, his face a portrait of shock, confusion, and raw pain. He was shaking his head, as if refusing to believe the words that had just been spoken, as if denial could somehow erase the truth. "Tell me it's not true, Ronnie," he demanded, his voice low but trembling with emotion, but Ronnie's trembling lips confirmed everything before she even spoke. "I'm sorry, Sonny," she murmured, her voice small, fragile, filled with decades of guilt. "I never meant for you to find out like this." Her confession sliced through the air like a blade, and Tracy's knees nearly buckled as she clutched the back of a nearby chair for support. How could this be possible? How could Ronnie, the woman who had sworn loyalty to her, who had stood by her side through tragedy, loss, and heartbreak, have hidden something this monumental? Tracy's mind raced back through time, piecing together fragments of the past like shards of broken glass. She remembered the day Sonny first came into their lives, a troubled man searching for answers about his family, and how Ronnie had insisted on helping him, guiding him, almost as if she had a personal stake in his pain. She remembered Ronnie's tears when Sonny talked about his lost mother, the one he had never met, and now it all made sense. Those weren't tears of sympathy, they were tears of guilt. Tracy's stomach twisted as she realized that every kind gesture, every comforting word, had been part of a secret agenda, a desperate attempt by Ronnie to protect her lie from surfacing. But the truth always finds a way to breathe, no matter how deeply it's buried. Tracy's thoughts spiraled as the room seemed to spin around her. "Why?" she demanded finally, her voice breaking the suffocating silence. "Why would you keep this from him?" "From me?" Ronnie's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, Tracy saw the full weight of the years of shame Ronnie had carried. "Because I was young," Ronnie whispered. "Because I was scared. I made mistakes I couldn't undo. Sonny was born when I was barely more than a child myself, and I was told he'd have a better life without me. I thought I was doing what was right, but when I saw him years later, when he came into our lives, I couldn't tell him. I didn't know how." Her words, though soaked in sorrow, did little to ease the storm building inside Tracy's chest. She felt betrayed not just as a friend but as a mother figure herself, betrayed by the lie that had woven itself into the core of their shared existence. "You should have told us," Tracy snapped, her voice trembling with fury. "You should have told him the truth before it destroyed everything." Ronnie's tears fell freely now, but Sonny stood motionless, his eyes dark with disbelief, staring at the woman he had known his entire life in an entirely new light. "All those years," Sonny said, his voice barely audible, You watched me suffer, you watched me question who I was, and you said nothing. You let me hate a woman who didn't exist, when it was you the whole time." Ronnie's sob escaped her throat as she reached out to him, but Sonny stepped back, the pain in his eyes cutting deeper than any wound could. Tracy's heart ached for him, for the shattering of the illusion that had defined his life. The air between them grew heavier, the tension almost unbearable. The clock on the wall ticked relentlessly, marking every passing second of their fractured reality. Tracy wanted to scream, to demand answers that would make sense of this chaos, but there were none, there never could be. The betrayal was too deep, too raw. Every friendship, every shared laugh, every moment of trust between her and Ronnie now felt tainted, poisoned by the truth that had been hidden in plain sight. She remembered the times Ronnie defended Sonny's impulsive decisions, how she always took his side even when no one else would, how she insisted on protecting him as though driven by something primal, something maternal. And now it all clicked. Ronnie wasn't protecting a friend, she was protecting her son. Tracy turned away, her eyes brimming with tears she refused to let fall. "You've ruined everything," she whispered, her voice hollow. "You've ruined him." Ronnie sank to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably, whispering apologies that fell on deaf ears. Sonny stormed toward the door, his emotions a tornado of rage and grief, but Tracy couldn't bring herself to move. She stood there, staring at the woman she thought she knew, the woman whose secrets had torn their world apart. Every fiber of her being wanted to lash out, to make Ronnie feel the same pain she had inflicted, but another part of her, the part that understood loss and regret, knew that this revelation had destroyed Ronnie just as much as it had destroyed them. Still, forgiveness was a distant dream, unreachable in the storm of betrayal. The night outside was quiet, almost mocking in its stillness, as if the universe itself paused to bear witness to the shattering of their lives. Tracy could hear Sonny's car engine start, the sound echoing like thunder in her ears, and when she turned back to Ronnie, she saw a woman completely undone, clutching the locket around her neck, a locket Tracy now realized contained Sonny's baby photo, the only link Ronnie had kept to the son she'd given up. The image seared itself into Tracy's mind, a haunting reminder of the lies that bind and the truths that destroy. The once solid foundation of their family now lay in ruins, and no amount of apologies or explanations could rebuild what had been lost. As Tracy stood there, numb and hollow, she realized that the woman who had shared her home, her trust, and her friendship had been a stranger all along. The storm that had been brewing for years had finally broken, and there was no going back. In that moment, Tracy knew that nothing, no amount of love, history, or shared pain, could ever erase the horror of discovering that Ronnie, the woman she thought of as a sister, was the mother of the man they both loved in their own ways. It was the kind of truth that didn't just break hearts, it shattered souls.